All right, it is hard not to indulge when it comes to yummy foods this holiday season, but we have some healthy food options that taste just as good.
That's right. There are small substitutions that you can make to save calories that don't have to ruin the taste. And this morning we have Ray Rodriguez with us from the Cork Tree in Palm Desert. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, what a pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Good morning. Let's start with breakfast because that's the best place to
Well,
start,
certainly.
right?
Everybody starts with coffee in the morning, and unfortunately it gets to be more than coffee. It gets to be what I call a milkshake, a morning milkshake, which your parents would never allow. Instead of all the heavy cream and sugar, try a dash of cinnamon. A dash of cinnamon, and you'll sip the coffee, and you're going to love that. If you have a cinnamon stick, drop that in your coffee and throw it in your fireplace.
And it gives it a little sweetener.
Oh, it's going to be perfect. You're going to love that. Next, if you're at home and you're trying to get through the holidays and you want a healthy snack, kale is your friend. You find it in every produce department. It's so easy to make chips. You put the kale on a baking pan, just a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of salt, just a very little bit of salt, and you're going to end up in about 10 minutes with a delicious snack.
So that would be a substitute for potato chips? Or
Certainly,
something?
yeah, anything like that that's salty and desirable that comes in a box. Okay, but this is fresh, very little caloric content, and no carbs.
I have to admit, I'm not a big fan of kale. So what does it taste like?
Well, if you like Brussels sprouts or you like cabbage, you're going to love kale chips.
Okay.
They're delicious. So if you don't, then look to our friend for the holiday season, and that's a butternut squash. And this is a big ingredient in the Cork Tree. And for this time of year, what you can do is easy to cook with at home. You can cube it and use it in any pasta or risotto as a replacement for a heavier meat, and that's wonderful. But what you can also do, because you're cut for time on the holidays, is if you have a slow cooker, cube it, drop it in the bottom of the slow cooker, take about 4 or 5 apples, slice that on top, a little bit of honey. This happens to be our local honey, Killer Bee honey.
Okay.
How about that? And a little bit of honey and maybe a dash of nutmeg. Leave it in, go home, do your chores, and then come back 4 or 5 hours later, and you've got an incredible side dish or a dessert.
What a great idea. And is it sweet, or what does it taste like?
Yeah, well, yes, actually butternut squash is a very sweet squash. You've got the apples that kind of balance it out, and it is a sweet side dish or dessert, and it is delicious. But there's a couple other things you can do now that you get to the end of a meal, okay? One, if you're home, try nuts, okay? Just instead of a big dessert, try a handful of nuts, because that's going to leave you room for the most important holiday treat, and you're going to want some wine. I mean,
I was wondering what was in the surprise bag.
well, you know, it is the holidays, but remember, moderation. One bottle, you hold back in the holiday season, 4 people.
Okay.
The 5th glass, who's working out the next day?
Ray
Just that
Rodriguez,
simple.
thank you. Well,
Thank
we
you
know
for
that
joining
the
us.
Cork Tree always features organic